first we'll look at the Buccaneers, who finished second in that division. It's year 5 for Todd Bowles as head coach. He is the defensive play caller and is going to stay the defensive play caller. They have some issues, though. Baker Mayfield is unhappy because they have not resolved his contract. Vita Vea is unhappy because he wants a new contract. They lost, and it was a shock to me, they lost Mike Evans in free agency, and he went to my 49ers. Like, that is I would never have seen that coming. Like, forget where he went, just him leaving the Bucs. I thought he was a one-team guy. So that's a big loss for them. They kind of got used to life without him last year because he was missing for about 8 weeks. If you look at their additions, not too many on offense. They brought in Kenny Gainwell. They've got Jake Browning at backup quarterback for what it's worth. I said notable, not necessarily good. Defensively, Reuben Bain Jr., I think, fell to them. So was he the guy that there were concerns about his wingspan, like the length of his arms?
I think that sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. So if that isn't an issue, like they may have struck gold. We'll see. They brought in Anzalone from the Lions. That's a great kind of energy guy, I think. That's about it, really. So this roster is kind of where it was, except they've got an unhappy quarterback and an unhappy defensive tackle, and they lost Mike Evans. So,
and they lost my starting middle linebacker or starting defensive player for multiple years.
No way.
Yeah. Levante David has finally...
He retired.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, he was showing signs of age last year. So Anzalone, you expect to replace. No one can replace Levante David, at least my heart. But Anzalone is, he is a good NFL linebacker. But the Bucs, they seem to be going through a bit of a transition, even at the quarterback position.
Yeah.
I think they're, Vita Vea is probably, I think they'll probably get that done because he's special. But the other older guys, okay, we need to move forward in a different direction. We've had, what was it? Like, they won the NFC South, what was it, 4 years in a row?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
And it should have been 5 in a row.
Of course it should have been 5 in a row. They fell off a cliff at the end of last year.
Yeah.
Baker was the MVP through 4 weeks of the season, was playing out of his mind, extending plays, comparisons to Josh Allen, like a smaller Josh Allen, because complete animal. That run against
4 from 15,
that run against the 49ers was legendary. How the hell did he do that?
Yeah.
And it was week after week after week he was doing it.
Mm.
Yeah, it was going into Seattle in a shootout and pulling off incredible throws.
The issue was, and having watched the quarterback series in the last couple of weeks, he got banged up, severely banged up. He had this massive, I don't know what happened to his bicep, but he got hit and it was black. He had so many of those injuries that I think they just caught up and he just wasn't. I know it's easy to say it's an excuse, he's got to play through it, but he really was carrying hard for them through a lot of injuries around the offense. And I just think that he hit a wall. He couldn't come back.
That's been the story of his career. I mean, he severely injured his shoulder, on a running play in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Last year, and then he was not the same guy, but he would not come out of the game. And then the Browns rewarded him by saying, "See ya," and then he was out. And now in Tampa, like last year, and Baker's, you hear kind of chippy Baker and pissed off Baker, but at some point he needs to be a better friend to himself and just say, you know what, I'm in pieces here. But it's definitely not going to be this year because he's going to be a free agent. Unless the doctor signs him off, Baker's going to be out there in crutches, whatever, in a body cast. He will be playing this year. Whether it's good for the team or not, he will be playing this year. But sometimes that's good and sometimes it's not. He needs to be healthy. Maybe he can be smarter this year and just not take those hits.
Yeah, definitely.
But I don't think he will. He's just that guy. That's who
he loves it. Like, he loves the physicality. He loves the trash talking that comes with that.
Yeah.
It's part of his identity. So it's like, if you take too much away from that, do you lose the player a bit? So it's a tough one, and it's kind of like you can kind of see why the Bucks are maybe hesitant to give him a long-term deal. Like the reports leaking out are, well, we've offered him over $50 million per year. Yeah, but you've offered it over, say, 2 years. He wants 4 years, but you're not willing to do that, and you might be smart for that, position.
It's a different equation. It's a different equation than it was. He was first, I believe he was stupidly cheap at $4 million per year when he left the Panthers at the start, and now he's averaging 33.
Yes.
Okay. Right. And he's supposed to have rejected 50. And he wants it over 4 years.
The way that I had understood it was the length of contract is the issue.
Right.
So the Bucks are like, look, we're going to give you the money, but we need to manage it on a 2-year basis, because you've had injury issues. Much like that. Look at the Daniel Jones deal. He accepted, what was it, 88 over 2 years. Thank you very much. We'll be back at the table in 2 years. But it sounds like Baker doesn't want to do that.
And Daniel Jones didn't make it through one.
Yeah.
Made it through just over half a season, and tore his Achilles.
Yeah.
Baker, you probably hear anecdotally that he's banged up, but he'll be playing unless it's a really serious injury to the point where he can't move out there, or it's a surgery. Baker would be out there. I mean, I remember the Cleveland one. Like, he was just not the same guy.
Yeah, he wasn't. And I think it's easier for Jones to make a 2-year deal because he already got that massive deal with the Giants. Baker's never had that. Well, he got a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Bucks. Like, in fairness, he has had it's not $40 million per year. Oh well. But yeah, like, it's a tough one for Baker because he questions their loyalty now. But you kind of can see why the Bucks are hesitant to do it. That's why I think, in fairness, and we probably talked about this when this first came up months ago. Do it on a short-term deal. Look, give Baker $50 million, but do it over 1 or 2 years, and go back to the table in 2 years.
Yeah, I think he's fine. From what I've heard, he really loves living in Tampa.
Yeah,
family are settled in Tampa, so he's probably. But calling out the GM, the Baker calling out the ownership and everybody, because that's who he is. That's what he does. I don't think it's going to help you in the long term, like getting that money off those guys. They're the guys who sign the checks, and they're fine regardless. Like, don't get it twisted. Like, NFL owners are fine.
Yeah,
like, they make money regardless. If the Bucks are 7-10 to 12-5 and losing the first round of the playoffs, What difference does it make to them, really? Like,
Yeah.
are they even aware of what's going on? I don't know, but yeah, that's a deeper conversation. But with Baker, I just offer him the same advice as I did to my he's still my good friend George Pickens. Just just shut up, just behave yourself. Just you're fine. He's fine. He makes it through this season. If he feels the slightest twinge, see ya. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
But he won't do that, but he should do that, but he won't do that.
Yeah, because the thing is, if he hits the open market, he's going to get a market value deal.
Yeah.
Because while I don't think he's like a top 5 quarterback, he's better than the average, like on his day.
Mm-hmm.
And there are teams that are desperate for that kind of play.
Yeah.
You know, you could probably name, I don't know, at least five teams, probably more than that would jump at the chance to have Baker.
Yeah. There's never enough quarterbacks to go around. And if he frees himself contractually from the Bucs, I
mean, you said it, in this division, there's a team that would love to have him, probably.
Yeah. But will the Bucs franchise him? Anyway, that's enough about Baker. Baker's okay. He's just he can have elite level play and can be terrible the next week. It just depends on his health, how he feels. So you want, at least for a title contending team, you want that kind of that scatter graph to be a bit more stable. But he is capable of elite level quarterback play, for sure.
And offensively, yes, I know that Mike Evans is a big leadership loss, big player loss. They still have enough here if everyone's healthy. You know, Tristan Wirfs, unbelievable right tackle.
Yes.
They've got a running back who can be very explosive in Bucky Irving.
Although he basically got hurt in week 2. And he was playing for most of, he missed a few games, but he was playing for most of last season, like Baker, banged up. So was not as productive as we expect from Bucky Irving. So who is he coming back from being unhealthy? And they lost White. They
lost White, yeah.
They replaced Gainwell. Gainwell's really good in the passing game.
Yeah. Which was what White was good in, really. Yeah. I know they ran White in between the tackles as well, but when Bucky Irving is healthy, if he can be healthy, that's who they're going to run this offense through.
Yeah, Bucky Irving could be special, a really special running back. He's really kind of human joystick kind of elusiveness in the open field when he's fully healthy. Good O-line, good D-line, add Ruben Bain to it. So the team's always going to be okay if they've got good O-line, good D-line.
That will cover up what I think is their weakness, which is at corner.
Yeah, they're okay in the secondary.
And in fact, did they lose? They lost Dean, didn't they, to the Steelers?
Yeah, but he wasn't great for them last year.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, corner play was not good last year.
But they've got a really good D line. So again, like almost the reverse of the Falcons. Good secondary, shaky D line, but questions in the secondary, but then like great D line.
You'd rather be the Bucs for sure.
Rather be the Bucs for sure, yeah. I don't know. Like the Bucs.
X factor wise, I'm gonna call out Ibuka, because for a 4 or 5 week stretch, we were like, wow, this rookie is on fire, and then he fell off a cliff.
He was like so much better than everybody thought he was going to be coming out of the draft, because he's not doing that in college. And then it's like, whoa, who the hell is this guy? Whoa. Like, yeah, Mike Evans, we don't need him. We're fine. But you couldn't almost the reverse Marvin Harrison Jr. he didn't show that in college, and then he was showing it in the NFL. It's not supposed to go like that. But then he kind of came back to earth a little bit as the season wore on.
Exactly. So
So
they've got him. They've still got Godwin, I believe.
he's
McMillan.
he,
He's really banged up all the time. McMillan is a nice, like, I'd say,
he's okay, but he's just
third or fourth receiver.
okay.
And then they've got the explosion that is Tez Johnson in patches.
Yeah, you don't want him to start, but
You don't want him to start. No.
yeah, in moments, yeah, you need to end of the first half, end of the game, yeah, go.
Gadget type of player, like, you know, he's got the speed to use him that way. And then Otten is a good safety net at tight end. Not spectacular, but he can be productive and he's steady.
And with the Bucks as well, like this guy. So you said Bowles is in year 5. Like, what are we doing again? Like Bowles, I think Bowles is lucky to still be there. Especially last year, they fell apart. And Baker was hurt and Mike Evans was hurt. But what are you doing? Todd Bowles is not.
My concerns with Bowles started maybe 2 years ago. I think it was a playoff game against the Lions, in which I don't remember the circumstances, but it was the end of the game, and I'm like, the Bucks just need to get a stop, and they might have one more chance. And it's like Bowles just gave up. I'm pretty certain that he could have used his timeouts to give them, you know, it might have been 30 seconds or 20 seconds. He just let the clock run out. And it was at that point where I was like, I don't care if you don't think you've got a chance. You had a chance. And you just completely just disrespect. You know, this is a playoff game. You're going home now and you're going to disregard even 20 seconds. I know that obviously the Chiefs is a different situation, but look what they did with Buffalo. You never give up. And after that, I looked at him in a different light where I was like, you gave up. Like, you're not supposed to do that.
Yeah, maybe Tampa's, Levante David was there for his career. Like Vita Veas looks like if he gets extended, he'll be there for his career. Baker wants to be there for the remainder of his career. Like, guys stay there a while, including coaches. The GM, he's been there a while now. Guys, yeah, I don't know. Like, it's a nice place to live, nice climate, no state tax. Yeah.
Everyone speaks very highly of the Glazers. Like, the Glazers look up, you have to say, really, they're quite well run, like, in terms of an organization. It's just, and I mean, look, they won a Super Bowl as early as 5 years ago. So they've won these divisions. Okay, they haven't quite got back to the Super Bowl or close to in this Baker Mayfield era. But outside of last year, they've been pretty competitive.
They have, but it's just what do they want to do? Because they have not been they've not in those years they haven't made it to the NFC title game.
No. And they've let these great offensive minds walk out the door, which I don't think Bowles is strong enough for them to just be able to let those guys, the guy that's with the Jaguars now, Cohen, and even Canales to some degree. But really, like, losing Cohen, imagine if Cohen was still there now as the head coach.
Yeah, it is. I think it's a lot easier to replace Bowles.
Yeah.
And then you have like a puppet OC, and then it's a lot easier to find a DC because Todd Bowles now, I don't look at the Bucks defense and go, oh, damn, like, wow, the stuff they come out with is crazy. And Bowles is a defensive guy.
He's just an aggressive guy. It's aggressive. Like, okay, it sometimes works. It often doesn't now.
They can stop the run, but it helps when you've got Vita Vea in the middle. like it's always going to help you. So they've always been good at stopping the run, but they've always had a good D line. So
Yeah.
what does Bowles actually do that another defensive coordinator could come in and not do?
I think that's a fair question.
Any mid DC from around the NFL, I think, could have success with this Tampa roster on defense. So if you had those guys, and it's almost the reverse of what's happening around the NFL. You have a talented offensive coordinator, right? Don't let him go. Don't let him out the building like Detroit did. Well, I don't think they really had a choice towards the end.
That was tough. Yeah.
But yeah, these offensive coordinators turn into head coaches. That's the new thing in the NFL. But Todd Bowles, if you're the defensive guy, then your defense needs to be elite. And it's been good, but yeah, I don't know.
I think you're right though. Like he doesn't do enough where you sort of say he really elevates this group. Like, so why are we holding on to him when we can see where the league has gone? You know,
He's a nice guy. I remember him like on watching him on Bruce Arians.
Football life, yeah.
Yeah. And he's a really softly spoken guy, really nice guy. Bruce Arians loved him.
Mm-hmm.
Former player of his when Arians was like a coach on Temple, I believe it was. He was a defensive back on or linebacker on the Temple football staff, and Arians is one of his guys. He kept him around, but yeah, I mean, defensive coordinators I think are a lot easier to replace.
Mm. Unless you've got like a Mike McDonald or someone like that, where you're like, okay, I mean,
yeah,
we'll get to the NFC West in a couple of weeks, but someone that's going to disrupt the offensive geniuses in that division, if you're at that level, fair enough. But you're right, it is the way the league has gone. If you've got a great offensive mind in the building, like a Liam Cohen, you don't let him walk out.
Mm.